I need to start by saying, I have great love here for you.
That is absolutely clear to us.
I have, as a physical being, pretty much exhausted all practical and even some impractical means of solving some physical complaints in my body. Being a chiropractor, that's my predisposition to go after it physically. And these complaints that I have not responded to my physical efforts, and I'm willing to change it in a different fashion now. I'm wanting some guidance.
Well, you are understanding even before today, but we can feel that you are formulating within yourself an even firmer understanding that everything is vibrationally based and that your emotions are your indications of vibration. And so physical discomfort is just exaggerated emotion. We would really like to state that in a powerful way. Because when you think about it, you can offer a thought, and the meter that measures the thought first is the emotional meter. And so you have this emotional response to the vibration first. And if you do something then about adjusting the thought, then the meter gives you a better indicator. We've been teasing our friends recently. We say, you don't damn the gauge in your car that tells you that your gas tank is empty. Instead, you appreciate the indicator, and your emotions are that same kind of indicator. So when you feel negative emotion and you don't do something about it, then what happens is you continue the beating of the drum, often without even realizing you're doing it, until the disallowance of this smooth flow of energy causes some sort of physical discomfort. So we would begin by saying this physical discomfort is, rather than saying it's a manifestation that needs to be addressed chiropractically or physically, instead begin saying this is a manifestation that needs to be addressed vibrationally. It needs to be addressed at the cause rather than at the symptom of the cause. And so what is it? Where is it? And we say, well, then start paying attention to the emotions that are wafting up on a pretty regular basis and ask yourself, how do I generally feel about most things? In other words, we'll throw some things out to you. Would you say that you are generally easygoing or intense?
More intense than easygoing.
And would you say that things usually go the way you want them to, or things usually don't go the way you want them to?
More so the way I want them to.
Absolutely.
These days.
And would you say that as things more and more and more go the way you want them to, the things that don't go the way you want them to just drive you nuts? Or you're easygoing about that?
I'm more easygoing about the latter than I used to be. I'm feeling a change in that.
So would you say that you are without any resistance, or does the symptom of the discomfort let you know that there must be some resistance there somewhere?
It affirms that I have a resistance.
So, since I know that I've got some resistance, and I know that negative emotion is pointing at it, what would you say is the most often strongest negative emotion that you have? In other words, if you ask Esther about this week, she would give you a different statement than what she usually offers. And so we want to know the most often average. Esther would say it's overwhelmment. In other words, if there's a negative drum that she beats pretty regularly, it's having more to do than I feel like I can do. What do you think it is for you?
When I feel confused more than clear. Frustration over not knowing.
All right, so now poke at that with a stick a little bit and get the feelings released just a little bit. Describe a situation where that comes up.
In my practice, when I work with a patient who has obvious problems and I haven't a clue how to facilitate them addressing those problems.
We can feel that this is a stronger resistance than at first you were indicating for this reason. You are a born uplifter. And you, from as long as you even can remember, have wanted to be of value to others. And so you've been launching these rockets for a very long time. You have a focused energy that is summoning a lot of power through you. In other words, you really want to make a difference. And when you focus upon somebody specifically, especially when they are in discomfort, your desire to assist them is very keen. And so we can see how that energy that's moving very fast in a moment that you're not able to assist them immediately would cause great resistance within you. So let's address that a little bit. How would you describe that feeling? What is the emotion about someone needing help from you, really wanting it, in physical distress, trusting you, hoping that you can help them, and you're not being able to? What is the emotion that comes forth within you?
Inadequacy.
Inadequacy. We think that is a fairly good chosen word. However, there is so much about you that feels capable, and we can feel that you feel capable, that we do not think inadequacy is a perfect match, because we don't think that you feel so much that it is something that you are not able to do. We're going to throw some words out, and you see how they fit, and you'll be able to feel it too as you've been feeling around in the energy. Hopelessness. Is that too strong?
That fits. That fits.
Really wanting to do something that I can't figure out how to do. And in that hopelessness, there is a bit of powerlessness, which is where the word inadequacy came in, because you really want to be of value. Now, it may feel like we've stirred this up in an exaggerated way, but actually, we think we've pinpointed it pretty clearly here. And so, let's start with that vibration where it is, and it's a heavy vibration, and it would only come to someone who really wanted to make a difference. In other words, there are a whole lot of people that feel a whole lot better because they just don't give a rip. So, here you are in this place of hopelessness. Again, remember, we're not trying to find a fix for you to give to them. We're just trying to find something that emotionally feels a little better for you. So, I have some effectiveness with some people, and some of them are easy to treat than others, and we don't feel much movement there. So, just keep reaching for it.
My dominant intent is to point out what works well in the bodies of my patients?
That's all true, but we think that was too big of a jump even from where you are. So you're just reaching for something incrementally that gives you a little bit of relief. And most of this is going to take place in your own mind, when you're taking a bath, when you're driving your car, when you're not even dealing with a client. In other words, a lot of it, you're just going to inch your way into a better and better feeling place. I chose this work, and I chose it well. And I'm good at it. I'm getting better at it all the time. And I know from my own experience that it's about a lot of things other than the physical movement. And I'm glad that I chose this work. I will never regret having chosen this work. I'm very happy. I do see some results from it, and more all the time. And as you feel the tension just relieve from you a little bit, then you might leave it for that time. That might be all that you do with that until the next time you have that feeling of hopelessness sort of washing over you. And each time it comes up and you walk out of it, what's going to begin to happen is you're going to begin to feel more empowered. And our promise to you is after 3 or 4 days of you feeling more empowered, a lot of tension is going to be relieved in your body. And then you're going to say, now I know what's wrong with them. With just a few words over 2 or 3 days, I was able to release my own personal burden that I've been carrying around, and I feel so much more in alignment. I now realize that what I've been addressing physically is more psychological with them too. And so, as I couple my ability to soothe them through the belief that they hold about the chiropractic medicine, and at the same time, I am giving them the relief of being able to express their distress in a way that they don't bump up against somebody that's trying to talk them out of their anger. You get a sense of what we're talking about?
Yes.
Sometimes, have you noticed that people will come to you and they just want to complain, they just want to complain, they just want to complain.
Oh, yeah.
They just want to complain, they just want to complain, they just want to complain. And after a while you sort of just shut down to that because you can almost not bear their complaining because every part of your being knows that their complaining is holding them in that place that they don't want to be. But when you try to help them make too big of a jump, they can't make the jump. It's like we see people, they are depressed, they don't know what to do, they turn to alcohol, they turn to drugs, they turn to any method of relief that they can, and then society criticizes of them from that. So they go from depression to a little bit of relief right back into depression again. In other words, they can't break out of that because no one opens the door and coaches them little by little into a better feeling emotion, you see. So as you are one who says, hey, from my own experience, I know, I've been there, I know exactly what you're feeling, and I found that when I stopped beating up on myself for not feeling good, I started feeling better right away. And when I stopped beating up on myself for not being able to get better all at once, I started getting better incrementally. And as I started getting better incrementally, then I was empowered. And that's the thing that we most want to give to you. In this little exchange where you consciously go from a feeling of hopelessness to a feeling of anger, and you know that you achieved the relief by consciously choosing a different thought. Now you know you can go from there to there, and then from there to there, and then from there to there. There's no place you can't go once you feel the empowerment of having found some relief, you see. We think that the work that you've chosen and the way you're interacting with these people is all a metaphor, a very powerful metaphor for this important thing that we're trying to talk about right here. It's why we wanted to begin with you. Because most people are saying, here I am, I don't want to be here, do something, crack my bones, give me a pill, do something to relieve it. In other words, give me a quantum leap to where I want to be. And what you want to say to them is, I'll help you get there. We'll do it together. And it's not going to be hard, and we're going to do it a little bit at a time, but we're going to make steady progress. We're not going to go from Phoenix to Yuma, 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 complaining about getting never to San Diego. We're going to keep moving toward where we want to go. Good. You'll hear much more as we are moving forward.
Thank you. One more quick one?
Yes?
Last month, in practicing my prosperity consciousness, I saw a beautiful Audi, brand new automobile, which I said, what a lovely car, I could have that. Immediately following that thought, though, was the thought that I love the car I have, and I really don't want a different car. I really love this car that I'm driving now. I've just made a repair to it, which I enjoy doing, invested more money in it, and it serves me well. And within a couple of days, I had a horrible accident which destroyed my car. And I'm bewildered by that because I know I did not dislike my car. I wanted to get rid of my car. And I'm not sure whether those are connected and how I attracted the loss of my beloved car.
Everything is connected. Everything is connected. So you never have an experience that is apart from the way you really feel. So when you say things like, I have had an accident which has destroyed my beloved car, we say there's something screwy in there somewhere.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking, because just doesn't work for me.
Do you believe that you are so practical-minded that you don't allow yourself what you really want unless you can justify it through some...
I'm afraid I'm guilty of that, yes. As little as I care to admit it, yeah, that's how I am.
You had a terrible accident, and yet you are just fine. In other words, all is really well. And so what happens sometimes is when you have desires that you don't let yourself admit that you have, in other words, it sort of burst out of you. You saw a beautiful car, and you felt true desire for it. And then you began talking yourself out of the desire that was very real, by trying to justify the position where you stood. And we would say that the desire must have been strong enough, that it got enough energy going, that there was a strong collision between the energies. And this is a wonderful thing, because this is what we're talking about here. In part, we have done this to some of our students of deliberate creation. We've done with many of you through our encouragement of positive thought, the same thing that you've done with so many of your children. You just make them deceive. In other words, when you make very stringent rules that really step on the toes of freedom of your children, they'll tell lies, they'll deceive, they'll pretend that they're doing one thing while they're doing another, because their freedom is so much more important. And so, in a similar way, what happens with many of you, don't allow yourselves to really acknowledge the emotion that you're feeling about something, because somewhere within you, you believe that it is an inappropriate emotion.
I'm very aware of how, instead of being content with a small step in a better direction, I have wanted to take the quantum leap very frequently.
Well, we think that the vibration that we had sort of touched or tapped into with you is something that a lot of people feel, and that is there's not a wholehearted willingness to believe that you are really deserving of all of the wonderful things that you're really deserving of. Mm-hmm. And so there is still this thing that makes you hold back. And you will let the good come when it has met your qualifications for justification, but not until. And so as long as you have a car that is pleasing you, and as long as you're able to repair it, and as long as you're able to keep yourself in balance, then why be so bold or so blatant or so greedy as to allow yourself to want beyond that? But once it has been destroyed, well then okay.